Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1986 Nissan 300ZX. Up front is a 3.0 liter V6 and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Z31 for a couple of reasons. First of all, I love this chassis of the Z car. I've driven a handful of them. However, I'm more excited because this is the naturally aspirated version, of which I've never done a naturally aspirated VG in the Z31. So I'm excited to share that with you guys today. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack or big friggin' bottle sticker, both with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that VG30 under the hood. Well, it's a single overhead cam engine and it makes about 160 horsepower. Now there was a turbo option. I've reviewed that and that made about 200 horsepower. So you get about 40 less horsepower out of the naturally aspirated version. This was also a stark departure from the other Z cars because Z cars had always had inline sixes up until this generation. They actually switched to a V6, which was kind of controversial for the time. However, it seemed to work out pretty well because Z cars have always been V6s ever since. Now, like I said, paired to a 5-speed manual transmission, actually feels great. Shifts really nice too. Bushings feel great, the clutch is nice and light, and overall, it's a really pleasurable experience. Last but not least, of course, the Z31 300ZX is rear wheel drive. So that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of analog gauges. Now you could get these vehicles with digital gauges and I highly recommend you seek those out. But these are the standard gauges and they are orange. The pre-facelift earlier Z31s were orange, the later ones were white. And I think this definitely has an early 80s feel. On the steering wheel in the center, I get a little Z badge. And that's about it. Nothing really too crazy beyond that. On the sides of the gauge cluster, I do have like my defrost and fog lights and wiper, and on the left I have my hazard and headlight pop-ups and all of that stuff attached to the gauge cluster, a very 80s thing to do. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent, and on the door, I have my power windows. Moving into the center, very typical Z thing is to have the gauges facing you. So I do have oil and voltage gauges in the center, which is very, very nice. And like I said, they are angled towards the driver, which sort of adds this very driver-oriented feel. Then I do have the climate controls. Very, very 80s again here. Everything in here is very blocky, very 80s. Very simple though, where to send it up top, temperature down below, and then fan speed down below that, and a digital clock off to the far right. Then I do have an aftermarket radio because every radio from the 80s was pretty much garbage and has broken in the last 30 or so years. Then I do get an ashtray and cigarette lighter. And then I get this nice 300ZX badge. I really, really like that. I think it really reminds you you're driving something special. You're driving a Z, don't forget. And then we have the shifter. The shifter looks very basic. However, like I said, great shifter feel. And one of my favorite parts of driving this car. Then I get a little cubby and I have my mirror controls in the center. So I do have power mirrors, although they each get their own joystick, which is pretty funny. Most cars utilize one joystick with like a switch in the middle, but no, the Z31 gave you two of them. It's kind of funny. Then I get some dead switches and a center console. And since it doesn't have any cup holders, this Z31 fails the big freaking bottle test. The seats are nice and comfortable. I've always loved these seats from the Z31. They're made of this really great material. They feel nice and they hold you in pretty well. Now, luckily, this is not a 2+2 model of the 300ZX, so I don't have any back seats. And the rear hatch is very, very spacious. That's what I love about 80s vehicles of this era. I just got out of a Mark II Supra and it was the same deal. Tons and tons of space in the rear cargo compartment, which I absolutely love. But now let's talk about the looks. Let's talk about the exterior. And I love the look of the Z31. I love the pop-up headlights. I love the T-tops, as you'll see on the exterior. This car does come with T-tops, and I actually recently put out a little documentary explaining the history of T-tops. So if you'd like to check that out, I highly recommend that you do. But overall, this car is just iconically 80s. And I love it for that. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a naturally aspirated Z31? Well, I came into this review fully expecting this car to be a pig, to not handle well, to kind of Well, I expected it to hate moving and hate accelerating, but that's honestly not the case. This car is wicked fun. Yes, it is slower than the turbo by far. However, that's okay. You know what? I'm in Southern California right now. I'm in a Z31. There's not much more than I can really ask for. Let's see how it likes third. Oh, it loves third. And I love it being in third. I am pleasantly and happily surprised by the amount of power of this car. I was really expecting the non-turbo to just fall flat on its face, and no, it's not the most rev-happy, peppiest thing in the world. It's not quite a cheerleader, but it's also not a grumpy old man like I expected. And that's always a good feeling. People always ask me, what car surprised you in a good way? Well, I have to say the naturally aspirated Z31 is one of those cars. It's just a fun cruiser. I'm enjoying the sun today, and that's what this car is all about. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Grant for letting me take out his naturally aspirated Z31. This is such a cool experience, and one that I'm actually really pleasantly surprised about. And so that is all thank you to Grant. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.